My iPad is such a great device. I use it for basically everything, from studying to working, or even just being productive. But in order to get the most out of my iPad, I most times use it with a keyboard. Let me show you why I use it with a keyboard rather than just using it as an iPad. Hello and welcome here. I'm Hamza Al Khatib, a fourth year dental student, and I love making videos about iPads, studying, and productivity in general. If you are interested, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upload. Let's get right into it. Typing on the iPad screen, yes, it is doable, but honestly, it is not the best experience. I often use a keyboard because it just gives me a better experience while typing, and I can type emails, scripts, or just type down my notes for longer periods of time in a more comfortable setting. With a keyboard, I can type faster, more accurately, and most importantly, my fingers don't cramp after typing on the touchscreen for long periods of time. I type a lot on the iPad. I do basically all my studying on the iPad. So I find myself writing down notes on the iPad itself while I am studying the same lecture. I open it side by side, the lecture itself and my notes application, and I can type down notes. But that's not it. I often here for my YouTube channel use my iPad to script down videos. And this keyboard helps me to script down videos in a more comfortable setting. Adding a keyboard to my iPad transforms my iPad into a laptop-like device. I find myself getting all the features of a MacBook, having split screen or with Stage Manager or with many other features of the iPad that can help in productivity itself like the Apple Pencil, but I still have the features of the iPad itself, being portable, easier to carry around, and just more versatile to work for longer periods of time. So for me, this makes the iPad more than just a tablet. It is more than my computer, but at the same time more than just basically a tablet. So it is just a versatile device that I use on a daily basis if I add a keyboard to it. Now with having a keyboard connected to your iPad, you can use shortcuts of the keyboard itself. Now I find myself, funnily enough, using shortcuts more on the iPad than I do with my Mac Mini. Now it just makes my workflow just so seamless, so easier, and it speeds up my workflow in such a nice way. Once you start using shortcuts on the iPad, you can never go back. Now for the iPad, you don't have to buy an expensive keyboard like the Magic Keyboard that I have here connected to my iPad. You can even use a wireless keyboard like the Logitech K380, which I have made many videos on, but you can also use a wired keyboard like a mechanical keyboard that I have also made a video on. So you can choose whatever works best for your workflow, and there are many brands to choose from. Let's talk in a little more detail about the keyboard and how I use it with the iPad. The keyboard I have right now is a Magic Keyboard, and I've made a video about it, unboxing it and using it with the iPad itself. It is the floating keyboard. It is the first generation. It has backlit keys that you can control from the control center, and it's very easy to do. You can just scroll down from the control center and you can add it first from the settings, and from here you can choose how much the lighting you want it to be. I choose the most as it doesn't really take much battery of the iPad itself. So here is an example of how I use the keyboard in my day-to-day life basis when I'm scripting down videos. I can use commands first, like command spacebar, to open Safari in a faster way than just going to the home screen and manually opening the Safari, or even if I didn't have it in the dock, going to the applications and from there searching for it or having to see where it is and going to it. I can just go very easily, command spacebar, and from here I can search for Safari and I can open it real quick. Now another command that is very helpful for Safari itself when using a keyboard is the command T. It opens a new tab for you, or command W and it closes the current tab. Now let's say I had a tab open that was very important. Let's open Apple for example, and I closed it by mistake with the command W, and I want to reopen the same tab that I had open. I can easily have it back with command shift T, and it will get back right here the same website that I had open. Now going back to how I use it with my day-to-day life with scripting down videos, as you can see I use Notion right here, and this is a video that I scripted and I uploaded a couple of days ago. It's just much easier to use with a keyboard than having it a touch screen or writing down with your fingers, and I will show you in a second how these two compare with each other. For example, the keyboard is way better than typing on the screen itself. Now writing that with a keyboard with physical buttons is way easier than having to do. Let me show you what the other option would be, having to press right here then show keyboard, than typing on the screen itself. As you can see first, when you first open the keyboard itself on the touch screen of the iPad, it takes half of the state of the screen that we have. That's 50% less to work on. And with the website bar, the Safari bar open, you don't really have much to work with, and the working with this setup isn't really ideal. Yes, you can type, the keyboard is still good with touch screen, but it isn't as ideal as with the keyboard, the physical keyboard like the Magic keyboards that I have here. Not only that, but having a physical keyboard helps also iPad itself as a laptop. I do have here the Magic keyboard with a touchpad, so it is a little bit more better than having a physical keyboard and with a mouse like the Magic mouse. I've tried using the Magic mouse on the iPad, but it wasn't as good as the Magic keyboard, and I can tell you in a second why. So that is another stuff why I use the keyboard itself. Now another thing I usually do is, let's say I open here my notes, but at the same time I open my lecture. So I have just opened a lecture of my school, then I will open the Notion side by side to take down notes of the lecture itself. It's very easy to do. I've muted my iPad so that you don't hear it. I can put this in full screen and I can type down. Now I have this open here on the application YouTube, but I will show you a better way to use your iPad so that you have the full screen in order to type down if you are mainly listening to the lecture rather than watching it. And let me show you how. You first open the lecture, but you open it in a website format, so open in background rather than opening in the application itself. And from here you put it in full screen. Let's get rid of the ad itself, but we don't really have to. We just press this button right here, and this will put it in a picture-in-picture format. Skipping the ad and going to the lecture itself, this way I can watch the lecture and at the same time I can take down notes. You can even maximize or minimize it to whatever you want, and it will always be on top so that it is not really taking much space, and you can work with whatever you have working on and you can type very nicely. This doesn't have to always be with a keyboard. You can use the Apple Pencil itself to write down notes. Let's say for like in Notion, while still watching the lecture, it will still be on, and you can even move it forward or back to whatever you want. And you can take down notes while the lecture is still open, and you have the keyboard itself. What I like about the keyboard is that you can take down notes, typing down if you want to type down, because it is faster to type down than to write down with the Apple Pencil. But let's say you want to draw a diagram or you want just to write something down very quick, you can use your Apple Pencil. So moving back to commands and what commands I usually use on the iPad itself. The first command that I use very often with the keyboard and having the iPad is the Command H. It will get you back to the home screen. Command H is command like home screen. It's very nice and it is very useful as you don't have to do this manual setup. The second command that I often use is also when I want to take screenshots. Having to manually press power button and the volume up button isn't really ideal to take down a screenshot when you have the keyboard on. So another command to take down this setup is Command Shift and the 3, and you will take a screenshot. But let's say you took a screenshot that you want to edit on or you want to write with your Apple Pencil with, you can press Command Shift and 4. This way you will have a screenshot that you can edit on and you can just write whatever you want with the Apple Pencil. Moving back to commands, command space bar, we have already said it will open the search bar. I will open Safari, and I've told you about the Safari shortcuts. But another shortcut that I often use in order to multitask between different applications very quick is the Command Tab button, and it will let you choose between your recent applications that you were using. I was using Notability, so it will be present there, and I was using YouTube, I opened the lecture on it. So it's very easy to switch between different applications when you have the keyboard on. Now, why I really like the keyboard when I am on the iPad is with the Stage Manager feature. I will show you what Stage Manager is, and this will be when you have a keyboard and a mouse open, as it will help you better than if you have only a keyboard. I do have here a mouse, but with Stage Manager, the application itself will open in a window view just like it would in a normal MacBook. So with that in mind, you can open different applications at the same time just like you would on a normal MacBook, and this is very helpful in my opinion. I do have here my notes, Safari opened, and I can even open Notability, let's say, and I can, using the mouse of the iPad or even just with my finger, minimize and maximize the windows. And with having the keyboard, it just gives me or adds to the laptop-like experience of the iPads themselves. So this was why I use a keyboard with my iPad. You tell me, what do you think about it? Do you use a keyboard yourself for your iPad, or are you just interested in what a keyboard can transform your iPad into? Thank you so much for watching this video. I have many others waiting for you in my channel, and I will see you in the next one.